This is really exciting, folks. Greetings and welcome back to Smartwatch Ticks. You know this one. This is a KW88. That's why you're here. This one is an LEM5, which is same as a Finaw X5, which is same as all of the Finaw and number one watches go, Android watches, in the way that they handle watch faces. And you're looking at a custom designed watch face specifically made for this class of watch. Now, this class of watch up until now wasn't able to play these watch faces. You had to use a whole different technique. You know that. And yesterday's video talked about how a firmware update to the KW88 has modified it in two ways. One, it made it so you can no longer use the watch faces that have been custom made for the KW88 in the application format, the .apk files. And two, it made it available for you to use the hundreds, maybe even thousands by now, of watch faces designed to run on the, we call them the Finaw or number one class of Android watches. Well, this little video is to show you some examples of those watch faces made for this watch running on this watch. The only thing different was a modification, or actually an addition of one little file that needs to be made to the folder that contains the watch face information for these watches that lets it work here. Let's talk about that. Just a quick overview so you know what we're doing. If you make a basic watch face, these are the contents of the folder, all right, that would be put into, so this is a folder, right, and it goes on the watch into something called clock skin. You have one big folder here, and you put multiple folders that contain these kind of files into that on your watch. This is now going to be on any watch, well, on the KW88 watch or any of the Finaw and number one type watches. Within here, you have these kind of files. PNG means they're picture files. This is a very simple one. And what you're going to be doing is looking for this one called the clock skin model. And you're going to duplicate this file, which is a picture, and you're going to rename that duplicate file image underscore clock underscore preview. As long as you do that, now most, up until now, all of these did not have this file in here. It just consisted of this. But if you make a copy of this and rename it that, then put this whole folder into your KW88 clock skin folder that's going to be, you're going to create on the KW88. As long as you have this one in there, it's going to work. And all of these things, digital, analog, and creative, turns out almost all of them work perfectly. So once again, to update the Finaw number one custom faces to work on the KW88, find the file labeled clock skin model, PNG, duplicate it, rename the duplicate file to this, and leave them both in that folder, because then it'll work on any kind of watch, and put it into the KW88, and this is what you get. So I got them, the same things on both of them here. I'll show you a little bit as we go through here. There's our famous Smartwatch Ticks one. Love that one. And look at this. The animation is working. The digital stuff is working. I didn't have to do anything other than duplicate that one file. On all of these, every one that you're seeing here, that's the only change I made. Now, these are just some of my favorites that I like to have here. The time is slightly off by seconds and whatnot because I've manually set the time so that on the analog watches, it'll look really cool with the time at about 10:10 or so. That's about what you like to see it at. But these are working perfectly. This is one of those from the early days of the XDA forum that we've played around with, modified, updated. Here's another one that's one of those moire pattern type. You've seen many of these in the portrayal of the digital faces videos that we've done. And up until now, they've been restricted, like I say, to the specific watches made by Finow or Number One. Isn't that great? Look at that. Look at that on a KW88. We've now opened a whole new world for this watch. So what does it take to get this capability? Well, most importantly, it's going to require you to update your firmware. You do that by making sure you're connected to the internet. Then go over to the settings. I love this one. In settings, you're going to scroll all the way down to where it says about this watch. Okay, there it is on this one, but look at that on here. Oh, it's a little bit dim. Can't quite see a lot of the gears and things. Well, there you go. There it's coming in. But see the gears moving in the background and all that? I know, I should finish a thought. I jump all over the place. Stay on prompter. What am I talking about? I'm talking about how you install these things? No, how you make the KW88 work. Okay, we're talking about installing or updating your firmware. You need to make sure you're connected to the internet. Go to settings, go to about, and up there you're going to have an update button. This is one of those that's a one button watch, and look at that. You can see it's a little after 10:10. Stuck at the same spot in my spiel here. When you go to there, you're going to have a button for doing checking for updates. Check for updates and make sure that your watch updates to a firmware that's at least or newer than January the 12th, 2016. That's the magic number for the firmware shift that invalidates the old and opens up the possibility for these new watch faces. This is an extremely complicated watch. This is the skin I wanted to see for sure whether it would work or not. Looks pretty simple, but the thing is, the second hand is ticking. This watch engine does not allow for ticking watches. It's always smooth. There's a lot of stuff going on behind this, and it's amazing. And it's working. It's working perfectly simply by making sure you copy that thumbnail is basically what's happening when you create this image clock preview. It's creating that little thumbnail here that allows it to show up on the menu on the KW88. Another ticking watch. Again, these are just random samples. No, I'm not going to have links in the show notes to each of these. They are already out there. Yes, you're going to have to take your time to plow through the old videos. And if you see one you like here, figure out which video it's in, and then download the zip file from that video and locate the particular one that we are doing. Let's skip through some of these. Let's show you, just jump all over random. Anyway, download the ones that are of interest to you by clicking on the links on the thumbnails that you see there. This is a nice one here. In those zip files. Anyway, you can navigate to the developer's actual page. Look at that. Really cool. The time jumps all over. This is another incredibly complex watch face. And it's working seamlessly on the KW88. Download the ones that you're interested in, and when you download them, remember, each and every one of them that you download, you have to do this little procedure before you can install it in your KW88, or they just won't show up. All of the ones that we have on the videos are related to being put on this class of a watch, and they won't work directly on this one unless you make that image clock preview file. That's all I've done differently here. Every single one of these that you see here, I put there. Oh yeah, we got to pay a special tribute and homage to one of our founding folks, Loki Fish Mars, who created this really robust and very full watch face. Really super guy. In fact, none of us would really be here doing what we're doing, especially at the level we are at now, without Loki Fish. He's taking a bit of a break, doing other things, moving on in life, and leaving us with an amazing legacy. So Hey, Loki, if you're watching this, thank you so much for all of your contributions, including this Imperium Data Center watch, which is a really nice design. A lot of his other work all over the place out on the web. Some of these nice digital ones. Here's a wild one with a faster rotating little ball thing going around. And all of this is working. The angles, the speeds, the rotations, and the complexity of things. Well, here's one. Here's an interesting one with star background. Flying around. Oh, wow, look at that. That says Thursday. That one doesn't. So we do have a couple of differences. Am I on the right one? I think so. Yeah, because this is something different over here. Well, there's a difference. Oops. Ah, okay. I don't have exactly the same matchup on these then. That one's not showing up on this one, so that might not have gotten moved over. Or what may have happened is I missed duplicating the file, in which case the folder's there, but I don't see the thumbnail. And if I don't see the thumbnail, I can't, it's this one, I can't select it. And if you can't select it, of course you can't see it. So that's why it's important to do that thing. Ah, this one I love. It's one of my favorites. Another complex one, digital. Look at the lightning running right up the middle. And again, it's working perfectly on the KW88. So if you haven't got yourself a KW88 yet, and you really like the design, which most people do, I mean, oh, look at that. Now there's a difference. No changes other than that image file creation. And we've got this thing going backwards on one and forwards on the other. Little subtleties to the clock engine, and I know the designers are going to have a ball trying to figure all that stuff out. Ticking top. This one a lot of folks are enjoying right now. And yes, it'll play seamlessly, perfectly on the KW88, the Mystery Shack. Takes it a little while to load up. There we go. See the rain happening? Date and time down at the bottom. We have lightning. So much going on. If you don't have yourself a KW88 yet, what's wrong with you? This is an amazing watch. It looks great on. It's got the speaker on the side. Brushed gold band. Wow. 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 All right. Anyway, I know. I really like this watch. I've always liked this watch. I just haven't been able to really be satisfied because of the limited number of custom watch faces you could put on it. That's all changed now. With that new update, it has changed. So think about it. If you are inclined to play with watch faces, the whole world of this class of watch is now opened up to this class of watch. I won't say class of watch because there's a lot of other watches, the IQI watches and ZGPAX and others, that use the same scheme of watch face implementation that the KW88 used to use. And they have not received those updates yet to allow this simple addition to make these watch faces work on their watches. That makes sense. Only the KW88 out of the class of watches that are similar to the KW88 have implemented this shift in firmware to allow for this new process. So hang in there. There's a good chance the others will update eventually, but they haven't yet. Oh, there we go. Another shout out to an amazing creative designer, Andrew Davis, who's given us the cube. Yeah, this is probably the most challenging design ever if you know about how difficult it is to make these watches and the restrictions the clock engine forces you into. Well, it's working, and it's working perfectly. Beautiful. That's probably a good place to stop. I could go on and on, got lots and lots more. But this is a good example of the fact that we're there, folks. The KW88 watch now fully supports all of the watch face designs, with some tweaking on a few of them that have previously been restricted only to the #1 Finau and a couple of Lympho watches. Thank you for checking this out, and yeah, it's time. Get yourself one of these. We'll talk to you later.